Okay, welcome to Gold's Garage. We're back again with the 307 project, and a month or two ago I made a quick video to begin this series of videos about this project, and at that time it was hanging on a hook in my shop. I'd just been taken out of a 69 Chev pickup truck owned by Scott Root, and Scott's holding the camera for me right now. And so that was the beginning. That engine had been in the original in that truck since 1969, so 52 years or whatever, and it was totally original when we took it apart. So first, some quick background. And so now we're going to show you, it's Christmas Day, we got all the parts laid out. We're going to show you all the parts we're going to use, the strategy that I'm using, the planning, the preparation that we're using to get a good outcome from this project. So just a quick background, the 307 is kind of got special meaning to me because back in 1969 when I first owned that Z28 Camaro the first time, I drag raced it in the summer and I wanted to rebuild the engine over the winter. And the problem was, it wasn't just my race car, it was my daily driver. Of course, I couldn't even afford one car, never mind having two. So the only way I could really deal with that was to build another engine to use to drive the Camaro over the winter so that I could have rebuilt the 302 that was in it. So back at that time, and they're probably still that way, GM had a policy that if they warranted a major component like an engine short block or an engine, they were supposed to destroy the old one. And but they didn't always do that. So I had a connection to a GM garage at the time, and I was able to buy a warranted 307 short block out the back door for $10. And I rebuilt that short block and found a bunch of other components to put an engine together. Drove it all winter, sold it in the spring, and a guy that bought it put it in his stock car and drove it for 2 seasons before he blew it up. So that's the first engine I built, so I am kind of connected to 307s. I was also in the St. Catharines plant that builds them back in 1969. So the 307, however, what is a 307? So a 307, the original bread and butter engine for GM was a 283, and in the late 60s, all the car companies had to start making more torque because their cars were getting heavier, and they also were getting pressed for emissions. So one of the ways to do that was to increase the stroke. So the stroke increases the torque, and the extra surface area combustion of the cylinder walls helps to improve combustion efficiency. So almost every engine got stroke. The 283 became a 307, the 327 became a 350, the 427 became a 454, and so on. So that's how 307. So it was like a bread and butter engine. There never was a high performance version made by General Motors of it, but it follows all the same logic that any other small block Chev or any other engine does, for that matter. And so we're going to make a high performance version of it, and it'll still be the original engine for Scott's truck. So the three main factors to take into consideration when building an engine like this, a custom engine for specific end use, is the driver and how he's going to drive it, what his expectations are, the vehicle that it's going in, and the third, of course, there's always the budget consideration. And so Scott's going to drive this truck a lot in the summertime, not in the winter, but he's going to drive it a lot in the summertime, so he's expecting long life out of it. And the truck he's putting in is, for an engine this size, is a reasonably heavy vehicle. It's a full-size half-ton pickup truck, and it's got an automatic transmission with a standard torque converter and highway rear end. So all that stuff goes together so that the objectives of this build, where it gives Scott more lower and mid-range torque, better throttle response and drivability, and of course low maintenance and long life and reasonable economy. So how do we do that? So the three main ways of increasing the performance of an engine, or the power of an engine, are to increase the compression, improve the valve timing, and improve the flow of combustible mixture in and out of the engine through the intake and exhaust valves or through the heads. So we really hit a home run right off the bat on this. We were able to find, between us, Scott and I found this set of heads. These heads are off of a HO, they're 416 heads, a lot of guys would probably know this number. The last numbers of the casting number are 416 heads. And these heads were on, once again, a 1980, 80s, 305 high performance Firebird or Camaro. And we like them because they flow better, number one. And the other real valuable part is that these heads have 58 cc's stock, whereas the stock heads are 70. So that simple move of reducing the combustion chamber volume by 12 cc's improves the compression from 8 to 1 to over 9 to 1. And that's huge. Next, we also did some mild porting on them, and we also put oversized valves. So they came with 1.84 valves on the intake and 1.5 on the exhaust, and we used 1.94 and 1.6 on the exhaust. So we're hoping for big things from these heads. These heads are going to improve performance in the two ways that we mentioned. The next thing that's important is the fastest single way you can improve performance is camshaft, the camshaft timing. So we're using the Comp Cams XE256H. And XE is the Comp Cams Extreme Energy cams. So this is not a crazy cam. This is a cam made to provide good low range torque. The range is going to max out like 5,200 RPM, but it's going to pull right off idle. At 447 on the intake, 454 on the exhaust with 1.5 rockers, and 212 on the intake and 218 on the exhaust. So not a radical cam by any means, but it will give good low end performance. It'll fill that chamber, and I don't know if anybody realizes this, but XE, the Extreme Energy cams, one of the things I typically do is advance the cam 4 degrees, and that improves bottom end performance. The XE cams are by design advanced, so they're advanced to 106 center line, and so I'm putting this cam straight up on the 106 center line the way Comp intended it to. For now, we're going to just use the 1.5 rockers. So a couple other details while we're over at this table. Brand new pistons, of course. We bored a 60 thou over. So we got brand new Silverlight pistons. The rods have been completely reconditioned, and pins fitted, etc. So they're ready to go in. Brand new HEI distributor, 65,000 volt HEI distributor to go on it. Lifters are always the issue. These are good lifters. There's still an issue. Even when I opened the Comp Cams box, there's a special, I talked about the valve lifter issue in previous videos. Even Comp Cams is making an issue of this. There's a special warning bulletin in the cam box about that issue, and telling you all the things you need to do to make sure you don't have lifter failure when you do that. So obviously new bearings, new oil pump pickup. I'm using a Moroso pickup, which is a lot nicer design than the standard GM. It's foolproof in that it bolts to the bottom of the oil pump, and you do not have to worry about it ever coming loose on you. One other nice thing is the one-piece oil pan gasket. I use these all the time now rather than the 4-piece cork gaskets. Much nicer to use, and they do not leak, and you can use them over again. So those are some of the factors, some of the things that we're going to use. So over here, the other thing, new aluminum intake manifold. So this 307s came with a 2-barrel and a steel manifold, by the way. So this by itself is going to be huge. Huge chrome valve covers, a little bit of bling. Time we cleaned everything up with this easy to use, nice new shiny timing cover. So it's going to be a nice looking piece, and you will see it again when it's on the engine stand or on the dyno when we get to that point. So I brought all this stuff home on Tuesday. So I'm all excited. I want to put it together, but I can't, because the second part, planning is number one, preparation is the next one. So before I even can start putting any parts in this block, I have the machine shop do all the machining operations. They hot tank it, they jet wash it, etc. But it's still not clean enough. I do not have them put the cam bearings in or the frost plugs. I like to do that after I painted it and after I've washed it. So preparation, here's some of the things I did for preparation when I got it back. At the front you will see these 3 tap fittings. Originally from the factory would be just a pressed in steel plug that has to be staked in, and I tapped that for its 1/4 inch pipe tap. A lot of guys that build engines do that. I did a little bit of deburring just to take casting flash off, help oil flow back down to the engine and to the bottom of the pan, and also just in case taking casting flash off before they fall off. One real important factor that I did is I put one valve lifter in every bore of the valve lifter bores to make sure that it moved up and down freely and rotated freely. Usually that's a 5-minute job because 99% of the time they just do. It's not an issue. More than half of the lifters, bores in this case, had some kind of a little burr or bung or scratch or something, and I had to spend time freeing them up, and they're all free now. But as I mentioned in previous videos, if your lifter can't turn, it's going to burn out in no time. So it's a good thing we did that. I chase all the threads, and then I power wash it with a high temperature or a high pressure power washer. I use my Grosso brush system, which has got a brush from every size orifice, from the bore of the engine itself right down to the smallest orifice. There's about 7 or 8 different brushes in it, and so it's all power washed. Then it's painted. Tomorrow the first thing I'll do is put the cam bearings in it and start putting it together. It'll be a detailed blueprint rebuild, of course. And Scott will get a book of documents with every piece of information, every clearance, every specification that we have, piston to wall clearance, main bearings, rod bearings, and truss, all that stuff. So I think we pretty much covered what's involved in the build, and all we have to do now is get doing the work. I hope if you have a 307, if you have any questions in particular, give me a call. We're hoping to take a shot at it. We're hoping to add. It's nice if we got 100 more horsepower. Let's put it that way. These things didn't even make 200 horsepower stock, so we're hoping to get that much, and all the things we've done and I've described, we'll have over 9 to 1, about 9.2 to 9.3 to 1 compression ratio. The cam that I described, better flowing heads. Those 3 factors should make a big difference. Scott also just purchased, haven't got it here yet, a 570 CFM Holly Street Adventure carburetor with vacuum secondaries, which will also be perfect for the street. So that's where we'll dyno with that when we dyno the week from Saturday. Hope you found it interesting, and we'll be making another one as we get progress, and on the test stand probably, and on the dyno for sure, and we'll get Scott in that one. So thanks for watching Gold's Garage.